It was one of the largest sweeps in the Saudi Arabia's history. 11 princes, dozens of ministers and foreign ministers were arrested in what was termed an anti-corruption sweep. But was this really about corruption? In this debate, we'll look at why the young Crown Prince Salman may be behind this wave of arrests and what is said to be his tightening of his grip on power, and whether he is in trouble due to his failed war on Yemen. Why have the arrests come at this time? Did he feel threatened, or was it to eliminate opposition? Well, guest joining us for this edition of the debate, Secretary General at the Next Century Foundation, William Morris, joins us from London. We have author and journalist Ali Al-Kabani, who also joins us from London. Gentlemen, welcome. William Morris, let me start with you. This massive number of arrests that have taken place, including princes, government officials, businessmen, former ministers, and current ministers. Your initial reaction as to why this has taken place at this time?
Well, it's very refreshing. I mean, we've long had a need for a clean-out in Saudi Arabia. And Mohammed bin Salman has had a reform package, and now he's done this. It's encouraging, it's refreshing. It means that the generation that have been, my generation, that really have been too proud and have not been helping the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, will be stepping aside, and the younger generation be coming forward. It perhaps actually it will avoid what might have happened, which might have been some sort of inner tension in Saudi Arabia emerging into a violent uprising against the establishment. Instead, we've seen reforms from Mohammed bin Salman that have meant that he has led a change, and I think it's hugely encouraging to see this clean sweep taking place.
Ali Al-Kabani, would you say that this is a clean sweep that's going to perhaps turn a new page as maybe what the prince wants, or may it have the opposite effect?
They are claiming through their propaganda machine to say that the young prince is trying to clean the political arena in Saudi Arabia and fight corruption. Saudi Arabia is a state of corruption. His father is the king of corruption. This 32-year-old man bought a boat, a yacht, and he's putting it in the Mediterranean for more than $500 million. From where did he get this money, and from where did he get his wealth except from corruption? This anti-corruption committee is the umbrella and the weapon given to Mohammed bin Salman to eliminate all his royal opponents and to arrest all the senior royals who can stand to him and stand to his wrong and failing policies. There was an anger and expanding opposition among the royals and ex-ministers and businessmen because of the failing foreign policy of Mohammed bin Salman, because of the aggressive war against Yemen, which bankrupted their funds, and after 2 years they didn't achieve any of their targets, and they will never achieve any, because the Yemeni people are strong fighters, and we could see that yesterday they sent a missile to Riyadh, and that will not be the first. And I wonder why the Saudis were shocked and surprised that a missile was hitting an airport in Riyadh, while their air raids were hitting Yemen day after day, killing children, women, elderly, and committing a whole range of crimes against humanity.
Okay.
While the whole world is keeping a blind eye. So actually, the corrupt person is the crown prince himself, and the other royals are the people who were trying to get rid of him because of his inexperience, aggressiveness, aggression against his neighbors, and this evil pact with Mohammed bin Zayed of United Arab Emirates.
William Morris, do you agree with the picture being painted there of this prince, which I'm sorry, I forget how old he is. Maybe you could refresh us.
32 years old. Mohammed
okay,
bin
wait.
Salman.
I'm asking William Morris. Go ahead, William Morris.
Okay. I'm sorry, I can't hear Ali on the other line. There's a fault with the sound system. But let me just say, this actual situation we have now, it's not unique in the Middle East. We've seen it before. Actually, President Bashar al-Assad arrested many people when he came to power in 2000. He arrested many people on corruption issues. You know, Mohammed bin Salman is a young man. He has every chance now to reform his country. And you've seen the reforms he's already brought forward. Women will start driving. I mean, how long overdue is that? He's also bringing in a housing program. He's bringing in economic reform. Well, now, I really approve of what he's doing in his country, which
William
is
Morris, I'm sorry, but do you know when women will start driving in Saudi Arabia? Because they haven't driven yet.
Yeah, in June of next year, because they have passed the law, and they start driving in June of next year, because for whatever reason they feel that they have to issue licenses after people have passed driving tests.
I see. So that hasn't really happened yet. Okay, I'm sorry. I just needed that to be
well, no,
clear.
I'm sorry, but the reform has gone in. They've started the driving instruction, and the driving licenses will be issued from next summer. So, I mean, it is a reform that's in place, and it's really encouraging. I mean, it's really encouraging. That's quite distinct from the foreign policy. Let me say I have issues with Saudi Arabia's foreign policy, but with Saudi Arabia's internal policy under Mohammed bin Salman, it's really very encouraging.
Ali Al-Kabani, tell us how this move, with what some are calling it a purge, but the number of arrests just in sheer numbers is quite a lot. But of course, there I think, again, a number that I can't even really put my finger on in terms of the number of princes that exist in that country. Some are seeing that as backfiring, because based on some online activity that I see here, is that, well, they resent him, for example, for bypassing his elder relatives, concentrating too much power now in one branch of the family. Is that something that perhaps may happen?
There is actually a power struggle now inside the Saudi royal family, and there is fight these tribal societies, because since the founding father Abdul Aziz, he put a system which the succession will be among the brothers until the last brother, which Salman violated that. The other thing is that the posts of government has to be distributed equally among all branches of the family. This is the second rule which was violated again by Salman. As I said before, these power struggles started even at the time of Abdullah, the late King Abdullah. That's why he insisted that the one who follows Salman should be their brother, Mekrin, and for the first time, they put a crown prince for the crown prince. And Abdullah made a royal decree that no one should change Mekrin. And Salman, who was the crown prince at the time, lost the battle, and of course he can't challenge the king. But once the king died, he started to make his revolution and put his plan in action to make his son Muhammad the next king in Saudi Arabia by getting rid of his brother. And we all hear that the son of that brother, Mansour bin Mekrin, died in an aeroplane crash yesterday, mysteriously, and the timing is giving space for a lot of rumors that he was killed. And after getting rid of Mekrin, he put the strong interior minister, Mohammed bin Naif, as the crown prince, to put his son, Mohammed bin Salman, as the crown prince of the crown prince. And then he got rid of Mohammed bin Naif, again with a fake accusation that he was a drug addict. The guy who was running the Ministry of Interior for 20 years and in charge of the strongest security apparatus in the whole of the Middle East, his uncle, the king, is accusing him of being a drug addict, and he couldn't clean himself. That's why he sacked him. Okay. And after that, he even put him under house arrest. So the conspiracy of Salman is to put Muhammad, his son, as the absolute autocratic ruler of Saudi Arabia without even power sharing among members of the family.
Okay.
So
well,
this will create a big problem, and it might actually shake the throne of Al Saud and end the kingdom of Abdulaziz.
Huh. Well, from the outside looking in, William Morris, there are some business consequences that this move has made. First of all, regarding this anti-corruption committee, it was said that the king actually, who had decreed the creation of this committee, actually, well, it took place only hours before the committee ordered the arrests, meaning that the committee was announced, then the arrest came almost immediately afterwards, and that has rattled some investors in the country. Don't you think that when there isn't a monarchy, or when there's a monarchy without a written constitution or an independent government institution, that that takes away from the credibility, or should I say, the new image that the Crown Prince wants to portray?
I don't think there's any question that the Crown Prince wants to portray any kind of democracy in Saudi Arabia. They have some sort of Majlis Ashura, but they're far, far away from that. He's reforming in social and economic terms. Perhaps later he will take steps towards democracy. I have no idea. But that's not what he's on about at the moment. And so don't regard this as some sort of democratic measure. It's not. It's a man flexing his muscles, reforming Crown Prince that's cleaning things up and clearing things out. And he's been talking privately about other measures. I mean, there have been conversations taking place about introducing cinema to Saudi Arabia. How bizarre is that, that a nation in the modern world has no cinema? But it has none, and you get thousands of Saudis crossing the bridge to Bahrain every weekend just to go to the cinema. I mean, it's extraordinary. But Mohammed bin Salman is a reformer. He is moving things forward, but he's also taken power. You know, there's this Sufi saying, the love of power is the last thing to depart from the heart of a righteous man. And I think that you may have questions about this very autocratic rule we are likely to see in Saudi Arabia. But I'm not bothered about the economic situation. He has economic reforms, and I think they will push the kingdom forward.
Well, Ali Al-Kabani, tell us why you think that there could be dissent within the kingdom when there's such a power struggle of this to this extreme. Because at this point, when you take a look at some of the major ministries, Salman is in charge of them. But those ministries is not, by some accounts, to have been successful. I mean, if we want to talk about the military, the internal security services, and the National Guard, I think when it comes to the military, well, the war in Yemen speaks for itself.
I would like to explain first that all the monarchs of Saudi Arabia realize very well that the stability of their throne depend on the protection of the United States as a foreign power and the Wahhabi establishment inside. So they cannot antagonize the Wahhabi establishment because they know that their throne is depending on them internally. And I met actually King Salman when he was the Prince of Riyadh in early 80s, 1981 or 82, I can't remember exactly. I was working for Hawadis magazine, and we published a supplement about Riyadh. And he was telling us that he is against this banning women of driving. So imagine from 1982, Salman himself was for women driving, and he said it is more dignifying and it's more Islamic than having a foreign driver with her in the car. So I said, so why don't you allow women to drive? He said, because we can't antagonize the Wahhabi establishment. So this is what old royals and senior royals were realizing, that the day they antagonize this Wahhabi establishment, their kingdom is finished internally, because they were ordering the people of Saudi Arabia to obey the king as the Wali al-Amr, even if he oppressed you or even if he take your money. So if you antagonize those people, then your throne will be at risk. And this is what the old kings of Saudi Arabia realized. But this, it seems that what Mohammed bin Salman does not realize, and he is taking a big risk. Don't take me wrong, I'm all for women driving their cars, and there is nothing in Islam which prohibits them from doing that. It is only this narrow-minded Wahhabi philosophy and doctrine, but at the same time, the Mohammed bin Salman is now antagonizing them and is antagonizing senior royals inside Al Saud family. So he is really putting his position at risk. And I would say, I don't believe that this young crown prince will be one day a king.
Okay. William Morris, you said that you don't agree with the foreign policy, perhaps, of this young prince. Tell us which foreign policy initiatives that he has undertaken you don't agree with.
Well, obviously, the major issue is the war in Yemen. He is, at the moment, hugely popular amongst his young people. I mean, his own generation in Saudi Arabia. Many young people haven't been able to get homes in order to get married because they couldn't afford them because of the housing crisis. He's taking steps to deal with this. So his popularity is substantial. But his Achilles heel may well be the war in Yemen, which is a war of attrition that's going nowhere and will continue to go nowhere. It's an unsuccessful war, and the one who suffers, the Yemeni people, the Yemeni children. The collateral damage in this war is incomprehensible, and now we have disease to add to the equation. So Yemen has been singularly, the outstandingly awful foreign policy adventure of Mohammed bin Salman. But hopefully he will, as he becomes more confident, he will seek a peace that will deal with the Yemen situation. I mean, he is a staggeringly strong young ruler, and the Middle East will have to live with him for a very long time to come. I cannot see him being deposed in some way, so we just have to deal with it and come to terms with this young reforming king and hope his foreign policy gets a lot wiser.
Ali Al-Kambani, 1 minute to you. William Morris says the Middle East has to deal with this young prince for a long time to come. Do you agree? 1 minute.
I don't think the Saudi royal family will allow this aggressive young prince to carry on. The day Salman pass away, Mohammed bin Salman would not be even able to live in Saudi Arabia, not succeed his father as the future king. He is now the real ruler of Saudi Arabia, but the Saudi royal family do not accept him. A lot of intellectuals do not accept him. Even young journalists have to flee the country because they don't feel secure, like Jamal Khashoggi and others are now, which is a new phenomenon. It never happened in Saudi Arabia before, because they could sack a journalist, but never put him under detention and hurt his family. So someone like Jamal Khashoggi took his family and is now living in Washington, D.C., fearing for his life and the life of his family. So that is unprecedented in Saudi Arabia. It never happened before. It is a dictatorship. It is an autocratic regime, but they did not react like military dictators of the Middle East.
Very well. We're going to have to end it there. Thank you very much for that. Let me thank our guest, Secretary General of the Next Century Foundation, William Morris, and author and journalist Ali Al-Kambani there, both from London. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of The Debate. From me, Cover Tawin, the entire team in the capital, Tehran. It's goodbye.